right, welcome to the Mindset Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about mindset and fitness, kind of talk about our journeys, how we got to where we got to with fitness, I guess what started us in fitness, and we're going to also touch on mindset, which goes hand in hand with fitness. So I guess mine all kind of started how, I think most men get motivated for anything. Mine kind of started with heartbreak.
Heartbreak has molded a lot of bodybuilding champions over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I was involved with a chick. I thought, eventually it was going to take off and, be like a thing like long term. And out of nowhere, come home one day, Dear John letter sitting on the mantle.
Oh, had one of those Dear John letters.
Hey, I was not expecting. There was no signs, nothing.
Of course, never.
Which it all came out later. What happened? I'm not going to go into all that, but yeah. So I was heartbroken over it. Never seen it coming.
Yeah, they say women reject subvertly and men are overtly.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is though, they kind of like lose the emotional attachment first, and then they start trying to push you away, even though they're the ones that already lost interest way before they even show signs of it. So but yeah, so me getting my heart broke, it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe it was me. Maybe I, because back then I think, dude, I was probably like 135 pounds, and this is when I was like 19. And
okay.
So I was like, well, maybe it's because I'm too skinny or something. I didn't know. I was still young. Had my heart broken. I was like, well,
okay. What kind of male influences did you have at this time in your life?
None.
Okay.
I mean, my dad, I guess, but I mean, outside of that, there was nobody like. I really didn't have any guidance,
how to deal. And
when I was growing up, my dad was always trying to, especially as I got older, trying to push me to go into the military and things like that. But
my dad did the same.
I was so against authority and everything else when I was younger. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not having anybody tell me what to do. I'm doing my own thing. Which obviously I went completely down the wrong path and got in so much trouble.
How doing your own thing work out for you, son?
So, and now I talked to him today, and it would be, because I'm 35 now, almost 36. I'll be 36 in December. If I would have went into the military at 18, I'd be 2 years away from retirement. Be getting, military retirement for the rest of my life. But nope. Didn't take that
route. And I've always had this thought too that like you always hear your parents, oh, well, you don't want to learn the hard way, you don't want to be like me. Well, like most lessons in life, I think, are learned the hard way. Like very few people have the maturity and the foresight to take those warnings and let it soak in and reflect on that. It's like, well, I'm not going to be like you. And you turn out to be exactly like them, just in a different time.
Oh, yeah. If you look at us now versus then, like, I'm almost identical to my dad as far as, like, what our interests are, hobbies, things like that, outside of the fitness, because he refused to go to the gym. He makes
my dad was never big into the fitness thing either. Like, his big thing was always, let's put down a deck of cards and let's do push-ups by what number we draw. I'm like, okay, well, what about squats or pull-ups or, so like he was never a real big guy, was never real big into fitness. My brother was never really into the gym also. So most of my exposure to working out was, at high school with football and other friends, kind of the camaraderie in the gym. And it's kind of a big thing with guys, but like there's so much information out there these days. I don't think you have an excuse not to know what you're doing, but also what's the consequences of too much information and too much options. Because now with social media and fitness influencers and the fitness game, how it is today, I mean, you can watch 20 different people doing a workout or walking you through what they do, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna work shoulders today, and you're there for 3 hours doing 72 exercises because you want to do everything, and that's the trap I've gotten myself caught up in, where it's like you get away from the basics, and then it's like all these new things that you can do.
Well, see, like for me, because I do like to change it up, but I won't do all that to where like I'm doing 72 exercises so I make sure I hit every exercise I've seen. You know, so what I'll do typically is I'll go 3 weeks. Actually, it's probably more than that. 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever, on the same workout, and I'll gradually increase weight each workout or whatever. But then after that 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever time frame I choose, because I switch it up constantly, I'll switch the exercises up, and then another 3, 4, 5 weeks, switch the exercises up again. So I don't constantly keep the same routine. I mean, you want to kind of change it up anyways. Now, there's people that have different views on like muscle confusion and things like that. Some people say that, oh, that's not a real thing. And then other people are like, yeah, you need to constantly change it up so your muscles are confused. But
you do, but also like the thing that I agree with how you set up and structure your progressive overload. Like you add 5 pounds every week. Okay, well, eventually, you're not going to be able to add 5 pounds. Eventually, you'll hit your limit. And it's like, okay, if my max is 400, well, if I have 5 pounds every week, I'm not going to bench 1,100 pounds at some point in my life. Adding 5 pounds is not how it's going to work. So I go by more what I see in the mirror versus writing things out. Like it's never really worked for me, writing things down. I just kind of take a mental note of each workout, and then it's nice having a plan, kind of like a base framework to work off of. But for me, like maybe I'm not feeling it that day. I'm gonna go in here, not feeling it. I'm gonna focus on 2 exercises and maximize the muscle contraction and the pump for those 2 exercises. I'm gonna warm up, hit 2 exercises hard. Because it's better to go and then get a good 1 or 2 exercises than just kind of half-ass a whole hour and a half, 2 hour workout if you don't feel it. Like Arnold used to say, be in the muscle. I can do 1 set, really be in the muscle, and have a better workout than you spending 2 or 3 hours because you're not focused. And that's the biggest thing with going to the gym these days is can't focus.
Well, one of the things that I had to call somebody out on the other day that goes to the gym with me, because he was kind of just like a guy that lifted heavy, and then I got him into going into a cut phase and things like that, so he could lose a bunch of weight. Well, he was going super light, which you should do on a cut phase and do higher reps. At least that's my theory on it. But he was going so light that there was literally no strain on the muscle whatsoever. I was like, dude, you go light, but you need to at least maximize the weight to where you're struggling to get those last reps out. You know what I mean? Now, it's fine to do super light and go all the way to exhaustion if you're doing, say your rep count you have set at like 12 or whatever. And you get to that 12th one, you feel like you still push out 4 more. That's what you're supposed to do. But also you want to be my theory is, so if you have a rep count of 12, add as much weight as you possibly can to where those last 2-3 reps, you're like struggling to get it.
You may not get it.
I mean? Yeah, exactly. But that's always been my theory on it. And he was like, just pounding through these little 10-pound dumbbells. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man?
And that's the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Because most guys are all the time. How much you bench?
Oh yeah, I know. Well,
I hate that question.
I don't do maxes and all that stuff. I've just never been into that. Now, if it's on like a bet or something, I'll do it.
We've all had those phases, and I think it's good to be strong, but you have to be more mindful of strength. I think the older you get, especially I'm creeping up on 40, so like I'm seasoned enough to understand my body to know how to work up properly. But a lot of people forget, especially people that go the enhanced route, where it's like you're fresh in the gym and you see some guy that, you know, maybe is deep into competitions and has put in the time under the iron. Maybe you're benching 225, he's benching 315. Oh, now you're insecure. I want to bench 315.
Yeah,
and I think
what
that's
a lot of it is.
And you see a lot of guys on social media and influencers trying to sell their brand, so to speak. So a lot more people are curious and hopping the enhanced route, where it's like you haven't maximized your natural potential yet.
One of the biggest things is you need to build that base first before you even hop into any kind of enhancement.
Because it's not in people that I train with and have trained with, and like young guys, like they see something on YouTube or on Instagram, then they try to go in and mimic it. And it's like you'll get more out of lightweight and proper form and control than you will out of just moving the weight. Because you only get so far with just moving the weight. Because eventually, like the stronger you get and the closer you get to your limit, not having proper mechanics is going to be a hindrance. And then with that, you're opening yourself up to injury risk. So it's like, yeah, you might not be able to hit 225 right out the gate, but if you're feeling 135, if you're feeling 155, if you're incrementally going up and you're feeling it, well, now that you're going to be more in control of the weight, and you're going to make better progress in the long run. Because so many people forget that fitness is a journey and not a to B.
You know, one of the biggest things also is you need to get that squeeze on that muscle too. That's honestly going to be like how you really, really grow. Because a lot of people, I call it the jackrabbit. But like, for instance, on like a standing calf raise, I'll see people get on there, put 4 plates on each side. I'm just like, bro, what are you doing?
And the load aspect is good, but you're not controlling the stretch. You're not controlling the contraction. And a lot of times it's best to pause at the bottom in the stretch and then to pause at the top on the contraction. So you get the best out of both. And you're always like, I've never see anybody doing controlled negatives. And you get way more out of controlled negatives at the end of a set because you're always stronger on the negative than you are on the positive. And nobody ever takes advantage of that strength curve and way to train and bust past plateaus.
And that kind of goes into the whole mindset thing with that because, like I've said before on here, a lot of people will get to those plateaus, not see any more progress for a while, and then completely give up, then go back to being out of shape and everything else. But the thing is, you got to go through the pain, you got to go through the struggle, you got to go through the time it takes to get past those plateaus, break down those walls. And I promise you, you know, sometimes it'll take 3 months before you even see any more progress. Sometimes 6. I mean, you can be at the same weight for a long time, and a lot of that comes into the. I don't want to get too much into the whole diet thing today, but sometimes you just got to change your diet too. You know, it may be that you don't have enough carbs in your diet. Maybe you don't have enough protein. Maybe your fats are off.
Maybe you're training too often, too hard too often.
You're not getting enough recovery time.
Because I was like, you watch Tom Platz from back in the day, and everybody loves Tom Platz for his legs and his tenacity training legs. And then you watch a seminar with him, and it's like you see his clips, and you think, oh, he was doing this once a week. Like, how in the hell? And then you listen to him speak, and you know, everybody saw my videos, but nobody realizes I was training like that twice per month. You know, those type of workouts were every 2 weeks or once a month because they'd be so intense and it'd take so long to recover.
You know, I don't like, you know, the whole political side of Arnold these days, but outside of that documentary that he did on Netflix was absolutely amazing.
I just started watching it yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm on like the first episode.
Dude, that thing is, man, it was super inspirational. That's all.
But I mean, like, even I didn't know how young he had started. Like
Oh, yeah.
at 21, 22 out there, winning shows. And then when he finally got to America, losing to Frank Zane and didn't realize the difference in competition over here in America.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
a completely different intensity.
Yeah, like I'm like in my mid 30s, be 37 this year. So it's like I feel like I'm in good shape now for my age, but to see him when he started,
Oh man.
and the peak that he got to, like in his mid 20s, like Jesus, man.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like he was already like crazy aesthetically and everything. And that was before he even really started getting into the whole chest workouts and getting like the best chest out of anybody of all time.
Before he really knew the depths of the science
Yeah.
and movement.
Exactly.
Like he understood it, but I mean, how many lifetimes, and Bill Burr talks about this in one of his skits, like how many lifetimes would you need to achieve the things that man has done in his life?
Yeah,
it's
he's he's done a lot.
inspirational, motivational, like just to see what he's done and what he's accomplished, like top of the top, best bodybuilder, still think today considered all time best bodybuilder, movie star, highest paid actor,
And that
politician.
that goes back to like his upbringing too. Is like his family was extremely poor. They literally came from nothing. I think he even said in the documentary, there were some times where they didn't even eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they were that poor.
Yep.
So-
And then his home life too, like, cause his dad had gone off to war and then they lost. So it's like, now you're defeated as a man. How do you move forward after that?
I think I can't remember if it was his story or not, but I think while his dad was away at war, his mom ended up passing away or something like that.
I haven't got that deep into it yet.
Yeah, I think his mom ended up passing away. His dad came back from war, and he didn't know what to do. And then he kind of like went into like this spiraling darkness and all this other stuff, or it may have been vice versa. I can't remember exactly how.
Because I had no idea he had a brother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea he had a brother, and then like he's talking about it in the first episode. He's like, I kind of put my brother and my family out of my mind, and I've still to this day I've never heard about his brother or what he became or anything. So that was kind of odd. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's it. And going on to the whole mindset thing, Arnold knew, there was nothing for him there, and he knew there was better opportunities for what he wanted to do elsewhere. So he moved across the world, to make it happen. And it's like what you were saying, he didn't understand the whole science behind it. He didn't understand the level of competition there was over here compared to where he came from. So he had to really like change his entire mindset on what he was doing, his whole philosophy on working out. He had to kind of start over fresh when he came over here,
But even his mindset too, after that, like after he lost to Frank Zane, he invited Frank out to California to train with him. Because I get the sense these days that like people that are the best shy away from competing against the best.
Well, see, that's the problem. Like,
And he invited it.
It also comes into the whole perspective, like, you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. You know what I mean? Because you're never going to learn if you're always the smartest guy in the room. So put yourself around people that are more intelligent than you, people that are working harder than you, so you kind of gain those attributes.
Iron
as you're
sharpens
running.
iron, man.
Exactly.
And so many people today are so comfortable and do just enough, or it's false rewards. Like, I was good on my diet Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Let me eat crappy on Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, or I've worked out 3 days in a row. I'm gonna take a day off. Like, no, that's and I've got caught up in that, myself. And it's easy to become so sedated with a sedentary lifestyle because everything is so easy. There's so much overabundance, and it's hard to step back as a man and, all right, fuck, I got to do this. I don't feel like doing it. I'm going to do it. Because then it's when I started kind of my fitness journey and actually hired a coach and wanted to do a competition, it was like, I don't feel like doing it, but every rep, every set, every day in the gym, every meal, everything that I did in that instance over the course of 5 months that it took me to get from when I decided to hire a coach to when I stepped on stage, everything was a baby step. Looking back over the whole journey, I lost over 50 pounds. It's in the best shape that I was ever in. And then from that, like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And it changed everything.
Well, see, I was talking to a guy yesterday on the phone, and he was saying, or we were talking about a football player, and he was comparing himself to the football player about being like the same weight as him, except he was fat, and the football player is obviously ripped. And I was like, well, dude, why don't you get in the gym? And he's like, man, I just hate it. And I was like, you hate being fat, or you hate going to the gym, or both? He's like, I hate both, but being fat's easier. I was like, dude, you got to get out of that mentality, bro. I was like, that's not good.
Nope.
And then, you know, he started making excuses as to why. He was like, oh, man, you know, work, I'm just tired of dealing with these dumbass people at work. What's that? Bro, what the fuck's that have to do with your life, bro? Well, once you leave work, that shit's in the closet, bro. Like you gotta fucking go to the gym, you know, get in that fucking, make that shit part of your daily routine.
Yep, that's the one thing that you have total control over, and it's a goal you can set out every day. And if you do nothing else throughout the day, you're eating good, you're going to the gym, you're putting in the work, you're seeing progress, and it's a goal you've achieved. And that's how it starts. I mean, Jordan Peterson talks about it like, okay, clean your room. Oh, I can't clean my room. Okay, well, vacuum your room. I can't vacuum my room. You walk over the vacuum. Okay, pick a drawer and then clean half of that drawer. Okay, I can clean half the drawer. And then that's where it starts. You find that point where it's small enough that it's not inconvenient and you don't have an excuse for it. And then once you accomplish it, then, okay, well, half the drawer, then the whole drawer. Okay, well, now let me vacuum. And then before you know it, you started with cleaning half of a drawer. Now you've cleaned your entire room. Okay, now take that out into the world.
Well, it's kind of like a snowball effect. Like once you start something and you accomplish that something, then it'll snowball into something else. Well, I achieved that. I can achieve this now if I achieve that. And you just got to keep on with it, and you know everything will kind of just fall into place.
And so much in life, God, mindset is so powerful. And
it's the strongest thing on the planet.
It really is. And I think society is doing everything they can to break men down.
Poison it.
Yes.
Poison your mind.
Yes.
Is the best way to put it.
So something to help with my mindset, I kind of touched on in the first episode, was my cancer diagnosis. And I haven't told the story, but I guess I'm about to get into it. So here we go, if you don't mind me taking the floor.
Let's go.
So February last year, my mother was diagnosed pancreatic cancer. Fast forward May of that same year, I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was really weird and didn't know how to feel, didn't know how to think about it. Hard to process, you know, like, what have I done in my life, Lord Jesus? You know, I mean, it was wild. My sister had moved to California, so she wasn't here. It's my best friend. Hard to watch my dad work through it, you know, because pancreatic cancer, once you hear those words, like there's hardly no hope for that.
Yeah.
So early on when I'm diagnosed, my mom ended up getting a home healthcare nurse because she got to the point where she kind of became immobile as cancer was taking effect. And she's over at the house one day. She missed her first appointment, the home healthcare nurse. And my mom is cussing this woman. Healthcare nurses suck and they're lazy and this, that, and the other. And so, because she missed the first appointment, the next week she shows up. She comes in, they get right to business. They're, you know, she's getting a feel for her history and what she's done previously. And over the course of the conversation, she admits that her son had cancer. So my mom is talking and telling about my cancer diagnosis, and lady just starts crying, just breaking down. Touched on this, like I said, in the first episode, but her son was diagnosed in December, passed in April, and he was 2 years old. So my mom felt 2 inches tall. She had been chastising this woman, and it was super tragic for her, but it helped me immensely in that moment because 2 years old, didn't know what was happening to him, didn't know the depth of the sickness.
But he
And
probably
it's-
still always had a smile on his face.
He did.
Yeah.
She said he was happy as he could be, I guess. But it's like, somebody always has it worse, and people get so comfortable in their own lives that it's hard to think about, and until you're in it. You always hear, somebody always has it worse, and you go about your life, and it's cliche to say you never think about it till it impacts. Oh, I never thought it happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the misses. Never thought it happened to me. Lived a healthy lifestyle, and now here I am fighting cancer. And after learning about this, it's like I'm 35. I've been married. I've been divorced. I've lived a lot of life on this planet, and I have one of the most curable forms of cancer. So it's like, what right do I have to complain and feel sorry for myself when this is what other people are dealing with? And yeah, it sucks for me, but I'm going to be able to beat this and come out of this.
Yeah.
So from that sense, my whole mindset shifted to where, yeah, it sucks. Fuck it. Like life goes on. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. And, you have people that will be there for you, but you're there for yourself. And that's all you really need, and my mom never shed a tear about herself. She was never, woe is me. It wasn't she was sad, obviously, but she never wanted pity.
Yeah.
And, she always talked about in the end, like how happy she was to have the kids that she had, to have the grandbabies that she had, to live the life that she wanted to live. And she wanted me to keep fighting. So, I probably could have curled up into a ball and, got sympathy from everybody and, oh, why'd this happen to me, and shut down. But, this kid went through this, had a good outlook on it. Even, he was young.
Yeah.
My mom, same thing. So it's like, I'm going to beat this. So I'm not going to let it affect me. Now it's just one thing that has tested me. And I don't know still what the purpose of going through that was, except maybe for this. I had cancer, lost 50 pounds, had to deal with chemo, but I still stayed on my diet, still ate good, which kind of helped withering away from cancer because I could eat what I wanted to a little bit, but still went to the gym 3-4 times a week, still ate good, still went out with my friends. I still lived my life how I wanted to live my life, and it sucked, but I was going to beat it. So I didn't want it to affect me more than it had to. Some days I felt, shitty, and maybe I would sleep a little bit extra, or I wouldn't get any sleep, but I tried to stay busy, but it didn't slow me down. And it was nice, going to the gym, and, every now and then somebody would ask, oh, what competition are you getting ready for? Because I was super lean, but I was still eating decent enough. Like I looked like I was getting ready for a show, even though I was sick and bald. But people, what show are you getting ready for? Like, oh, I'm not. I'm just, in here, just doing it.
Yeah.
So wasn't aimed at making people feel bad about themselves, but it's like, look at what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through. You can see it in my face, my bald face. Like I'm still out here killing it. What's your fucking excuse?
Yeah.
Get out here and get it done. I don't care if you come in here and you do one solid exercise and you do 10 sets of that exercise. Do something because it helps you afterward.
You want to touch a little bit on before we wrap this up, because we're already getting close to that mark.
The mark, yeah.
You want to touch a little bit on the whole competition aspect?
Yeah. I always wanted to do a competition. You always see the fitness magazines and the guys that look super ripped and like, I wish I could be like that guy. I wish I could look like that guy. Everybody wishes they could do that. But every great thing that's ever been done is when you stop wishing and you start taking action towards it. And I think it's taking ownership. I think it's taking responsibility. It's discipline more than anything. And discipline isn't something that's really talked about and pushed by men in large these days.
See, as far as discipline goes, it sounds good, but in all honesty, it's mindset, because you can really have somebody like tell you what to do, all this stuff, and you'll be disciplined for a short period of time in what you're doing or in the moment. But how long are you actually going to carry that? Like,
I think mindset is the umbrella, and then everything, discipline and accountability and motivation and responsibility, fall under the umbrella. So
I think you have to have the mindset first, though.
You do?
To be able to maintain the discipline and everything else that comes along with it. It's just like, for instance, like if you want to quit drinking or something like that. Well, if you don't have the mindset to quit drinking, you're not going to quit drinking.
Yeah.
You're going to just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And smoking, whatever.
So it does. It has to start with the mindset, but then once it clicks, then you have to think about it, then you have to plan and figure out how to put it into action. So yeah, you can have it starts with the mindset, but then you have to know how to execute. So for me, it was a coach. Like, I knew about working out, but I didn't know about, there's a difference in training and working out. Because like, you're working out, you're just going to the gym, you're trying to stay healthy, trying to stay moving. Training to me implies like you have a goal and a purpose.
Right.
So the distinction with me for that was kind of what helped me as well. Like, okay, I'm not just going to the gym. I'm not just going to work out. I'm going to train. Like, I'm going to try to sculpt my chest this way, or cap my shoulders this way, or, get the teardrop in my. I had a specific goal, of every time I went to the gym. So started with conversation with the coach, and then he's like, your goal has to be bigger than that meal. Because my thing was diet. Like, love sweet tea. Not like fried food per se, but extra large servings, and so that the overindulgence, like portion control, which isn't big over here. My bad. That's too close.
Y'all got beef, bro?
So, but no, it's portion control, discipline, and executing the plan. And it's every meal, every gym session, recover, repeat. And then it's a day, and then it's a couple of days, then it's a week, and then before you know it, okay, now I'm 8 weeks out, I'm 6 weeks out. And then once you start seeing progress and your mindset and discipline is rewarded, then I think it's easier to stay the course.
So how do you go about finding a coach, or that coach that you found? Because I'm not really familiar with the whole competition aspect of working out or anything like that.
For me, I was fortunate because the girl that I was seeing at the time, I ended up seeing some women in the gym that were doing things that like you typically don't see females do, like exercises and the way they were working out, training at the time back in the day. So I struck up conversation and asked if they were, personal trainers, if they competed or whatever. She happened to be a coach that also competed. Okay. So I put them two together, and then I helped my girl at the time do a show. And then the coach's fiance was also a trainer, coach, and competed. So we had a conversation one day, and I told him I'd always wanted to compete, that I always wanted to reach my physical limit. And we had a conversation about food, and basically he was like, look, man, what's your problem? Just no bullshit, no beating around the bush, no easing into the conversation. Just let's get down to brass tacks and cut through the bullshit. Like, what's your problem? Why can't you do it? It's like, food, man. I love food. I love debate. And that's really what it was. And he was like, I get that. But to get to where you want to get, you got to do things you've never done. Like, so if food is your biggest thing, we can work food in, and it has to be a reward thing. But your goal has to be bigger than that one meal.
Yeah.
And it was super simple, and like I never really thought about it, but in that moment, it just kind of clicked for me. Like, fuck it, let's do it. Like if I can help her do it, I can do it. And then started out with a meal plan, because I wanted to go the safe route. Like, I'm not going to waste a bunch of money getting into it and waste his time. Because ultimately, like if you get a coach and you don't show up with 100%, it reflects bad on him too. So
Yeah.
I looked at it from that aspect. So I did a meal plan, and it was about 80%, 20%, 80% good food, 20% cheat meals, if you want to call it that. Saw good progress, and then the second month got a little bit more strict, and it was about 90-10. So I think the whole month I had like 2 cheat meals, and it was like a breakfast, so I could work it off throughout the day. Because I love French toast, love Cracker Barrel, syrup, cereal, all the good stuff. And then after that, it was like, you know what, I can do it, man. Let's go. And then I did a 16-week prep, and I wanted for myself enough time, because I'd never done one before, to figure out what worked for me. So like for me, carb loading did not work whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, you get low carb days, and then you get one big carb day, and your body soaks it up. Like my body didn't change. I was run down, no energy. And so carbs, and we figured that out early on, like, because you check in every week, and then he sees your progress, and the meals changed every week and a half, 2 weeks. So we had enough time to switch something around, figure out what worked, what didn't work. In your first competition, like it's new, and you're starving your body to get to dangerously low levels of body fat to look good on stage. So it's a kind of trial and error thing. But from there, it became easy to, okay, now I have the knowledge, and I have a reference that I can bounce questions off of, and I know what type of questions to ask now. So if I'm researching different diets or different workout strategies, now I have a better understanding of how to implement them as well, because I've gone through it. But for me, I just asked around, and stroke of luck, just talked to the right person and got introduced into a little circle. But there's people around town that do it. But the biggest thing about my guy that I liked, he was local, which is nice. Yeah. Somebody that you can see if you have questions or issues, or I'm struggling with my chest, I can't feel this, let me get a session with you. So it's nice to have somebody local. His rates were very affordable, and he was no nonsense. So if he could tell if I was bullshitting on my diet, or if I wasn't drinking enough water. Like,
he wasn't afraid to call you out.
No, at all, which is nice, because there was no like, let me phrase it so I don't offend you or hurt your feelings. No, like, be direct. This is how it is. Like, not only are you paying me, if you don't follow what I say, you're wasting your money. You're wasting both of our times. So it's just a way to hold somebody accountable, which is nice. But I mean, you can get on Instagram or look for bodybuilding coaches around town. I'm not going to plug him here because I don't know how he'd feel about it. But my coach was awesome. Didn't push drugs or anything. It was, I wanted to be natural, and I wanted to see my limits unassisted. Because I think if you go the PD route before you really understand your body, how to eat, how to diet, how to train properly, how to recover properly, I think you might see good results. But it's like you get too much too fast, and then the crash is harder. Yeah. Because 2 days after my show, I put on 22 pounds.
Dang.
Yeah. 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 So it's the rebound is, if you're not used to it, starving yourself. Because I don't think I exceeded 1,700 calories my entire prep. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Dude, I'd wither away and die.
Yeah. Yeah. 1,700. Man. If you think you go to McDonald's and you get like a McGriddle, and like a McGriddle meal, that's 1,100 right there, just about 1,200. Or Starbucks in the morning, you get a venti white chocolate mocha, which is what I get, on like a slice of banana nut bread. I'm sitting at 1,300 calories right there. So you're talking, that's a drink and a treat first thing in the morning. You got the whole rest of the day.
That'd be rough, but I guess your body kind of acclimates to it after
it does. And then once you get acclimated to it, then when you get a cheat meal, your body responds better to soaking up all the shitty ingredients in your cheat meal. And then it also kind of is a reward system. Like, all right, I had 4 solid weeks of didn't break on my diet, did everything I was supposed to, hamburger with some fries. And then once you start seeing progress, it gets to a point you don't even want the cheat meal, because it might hinder your progress. So it's like, nah, we're going to keep going, keep going. So it got to a point where I didn't even want cheat meals. And then he had to make me take them. And then he was smart about the cheat meals too. So it was mainly sushi. It was something that was bad, but still had good nutritional value.
Yeah.
So
outside of the food, what do you think the biggest obstacle was?
Food was really the biggest obstacle, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm saying like the fear of getting on stage or something like that.
It didn't really bother me.
Really?
To be honest. Yeah. I mean, you
Really?
think it like, and I was even thinking about it like watching the girls because they're up there and basically like shoestrings, like showing their body off.
Okay.
But you know, I mean, you walk around the beach shirtless and whatnot, and it's you're putting yourself out there to be objectified
Yeah.
willingly. You know, like break me down and critique every last angle of my body. But you know, how many people do you think can compete? I mean, of all the people that you see going to the gym, how many competitors do you ever see?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, a handful.
Yeah, it's not
so
very
as,
many.
as far as in the grand scheme of people that are into fitness in one aspect or another, there's very few competitors.
Right.
So I think to make it to the point where you can step on stage, you've already accomplished more than 98% of other people that work out. So there's pride in that. And also too, like you work and you work and you work and you work to get to that point. So you work for 16 weeks to be on stage for 45 seconds. It's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
That's wild.
And you're loading, your carb loading, your sodium loading, water depletion, all that. Like you're trying to time it down to an hour window, you know, before you step on stage for prejudging and then at the night show. And I looked better at the night show than I did for prejudging.
Why is that?
I didn't get any sleep.
No.
Yeah, I didn't get any sleep. So you wake up, like you've got to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
like to get your final coat of tan and get everything ready. Then the show starts. Prejudging starts at like 8 or 9. So you wake up at 5. You have black coffee and grapefruit juice, clean you out before you step on stage. So I was kind of flat. And then after prejudging, I got to carb up. I got a cheat meal, got some water, some sodium, and then I got about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I woke up for the night show. It was more vascular, it was more full. Like I looked way better the night show than prejudging. But the hardest thing is arranging your food. Everything revolves around food.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
So
that's with regular working out too. You
Yep,
know?
yep. But it's
80%.
But it's way more dialed in because like you have to. Okay, I've got to because mine was 8 to 10 ounces of egg whites for breakfast and for dinner. And it got to the point where I just would pour them, egg whites in a carton, pour them in a measuring cup, and just drink them.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh,
just you get real creative with being convenient.
yeah. All right, so I guess we could wrap it up on that. You want to tell them what we're going to talk about on the next episode?
What did we say we were going to talk about?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I remember about kind of switched it up a little bit, and guess the governor here in our great state of Florida decided he was going to pass a no more permanent alimony law, and I kind of want to get into it.
Yeah, that's
Because I was married once upon a time, and even though I was married for about 3 years, so you know, a flash in the pan.
yeah.
She brought up the alimony argument, so it's like, you know, I have some experience with this in the female mindset, since we're talking about mindset. So
yeah, that'll definitely be a
hard hitting topic. Hope you've enjoyed everything so far, because we're about to get canceled.
like we said before. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like the episodes, subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us in the future get to monetization, be able to do live chats, grow a
Yes.
bigger audience.
Yes.
We don't want to do live chats and there's nobody actually listening
Hey, tune
live.
in, all 3 of you out there.
All right. I guess that wraps it up.
Indeed it does.
All right.
Thanks for watching.